And we will call the Board of Commissioners for Skagit the evening order for March 26th, 2024. And ask that you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, so at this time, I'd be looking for a motion to approve the consent agenda items 1 through 5.
So moved.
A second.
Motion a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And at this time, audience members are welcome to step up to the podium and state your name and city of residence if you want to make public comment this evening. If you're on Zoom, you can use the raise your hand function.
Somebody should start this show. I'm Nick Skagit, have a paper turf farm, live out on Memorial Highway. I'm here to appeal to you guys for a little help for the neighbor. He's 95 years old. He had a leak in his water pipe this winter when it froze, I guess. Did not know. He can't hear, he can't get around much. Anyway, he got a $4,000 water bill. He went bonkers, fretted over it and everything. He paid it. So I went under there, fixed his pipe, come in here to see if there's anything they could do. And they said, no, not really. Oh, and by the way, he's going to get another $3,000 one between the last bill and now. I'm thinking, I hope there's something we can do. I feel like we should have tried harder to talk to them, get to them, talk to the neighbors. Anyway, I'm hoping that you'll waive this second bill anyway. That's what I'm here for. It just seems like a lot. He has Social Security as his only income. So I'm just appealing to your human side, I guess. I don't know what to do from here, so I thought I'd start here.
Yeah, Nick called me and I said, process-wise, come in. So appreciate you participating in this and active citizenship and being very neighborly. And
we try hard, but to me, this is a tough pill for this world guy. So
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I don't know what I'm supposed to do next, but that's why I'm here to figure out if there's something we can do and what I should. But I did bring the broken pipe.
Well, I think this definitely started reiterating the conversation of leak adjustments and kind of that there are definitely gaps in the intention of how our leak adjustment policy is written. And it definitely does not take into account our low income and,
Yes.
well-intended fixes or the one time when, say, you buy a new home and you were handed a malfunctioning system that you were unaware of to begin with.
There are things beyond your control sometimes.
Exactly. Yeah. I think that we need to start this conversation to figure out where is the middle ground with situations like this, because we don't necessarily have because it's not before the meter or between the meter and the house. Sounds like it was under the house. That would be an exempt from our policy, our current policy. So I think this.
It was prior to the house still. I mean, it's under it, but
Yeah.
Anyway, I hope there's something we can do for you. And I don't know if you need me to do something else, but
that's right.
Yeah,
Perfect.
great.
Thank you.
Brian's our customer service manager.
awesome. Thanks, Nick.
all right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else looking to offer public comment tonight?
I will.
Okay.
Dave Johnson. I'd like to try to get a water filling station in a big lake. I've been emailing you back and forth, Joe.
Yep.
I've been hauling water since 1987. And these last 3 or 4 summers, I've got so dry that all the shallow wells on the hilltop are starting to shallow out. And I've tried drilling. I drilled 10 years ago and went down 600 feet for $26,000. And I talked to Dahlman last year, and now their prices have tripled since I drilled. So we're kind of out of luck. So if we can get a water filling station at Big Lake would be amazing. Yeah. And everybody I talk to down at the Conway station all summer, when I meet them, they're coming out of Dig Creek, Lake Kavanaugh, everywhere. So, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up in commissioner comments tonight.
Okay.
We'll have a little more discussion. on that. Anyone else looking to offer comment tonight? Were you guys looking to make public comment?
¿Quieren hablar?
Sí, vamos a pagar el bill del
There's a
agua.
microphone right there, yeah. Maybe speak.
Voy a
to that.
tratar de traer. Puede hablar aquí porque hay un micrófono.
¿Este?
Sí. Porque es.
No vemos ahí en el.
There you go. Thank you.
Queremos pagar agua.
¿Tiene cuenta?
No, somos nuevos. Apenas agarramos una casa ayer y queremos registrar para pagar agua.
Okay.
Sí, porque es.
A new. Oh, okay. Okay.
Where's Brian?
Right. Sí.
How many
¿Eso
things
es
can
para
you do?
pagar cuenta? O para recibir un nuevo.
Para recibir nuevo.
Oh, okay, okay. También pueden hacer.
All right, we're seeing,
It's still open, right? Like Brenda's still open. She's over there, yeah. Should be fine. I was just, yeah. 440 should be fine.
so at this time, seeing nobody else looking to offer public comment, we will move into the general manager's report. Sure.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. Afternoon, commissioners. Update you on a few things that are going on. Obviously, the big one since last meeting is our irrigation, our water rights transfer. So I gave you a written update, but I'll provide a public update here as well. So wasn't me included, but we visited the districts, looked at each of the diversion points. Mark was there, a couple of other of our staff to finalize what we're going to do with the metering. And so we've got a plan for that. We're hoping to use maybe just a single meter that the farmers and we can use as well to try and limit the amount of work. So that's still being finalized. We're still waiting for the meters to come for us. We're still waiting for our telemetry head. We're going to talk to their farm HQ. I think they're coming out on Thursday. So coordination's happening. We'll get that worked on in preparation for the transfer. So that's moving along. And also prior to that, like Casey said, when she came from ecology, we're going to be working and submitting applications to Department of Ecology in advance of getting the interlocal signed. So the interlocals are not on the agenda today. Jenna wanted a little bit more time to review the agreements with everybody involved. They would like to vote on it themselves, I think on the 3rd, so sometime next week. So if that all goes fine, then we'll put the interlocals back on our agenda for the meeting on the 9th. And we'll have the applications into ecology. They'll know what to expect. Bill's been talking to them. So we're set up to do a non-drought transfer is what we want to move ahead with, because then there's no end point on that. If we did a drought transfer, there's an ending point, which then we turn into maybe another application. So we're going to move forward with the non-drought transfer, get all that sorted out, have the public comment period, get everything out in the open. And then when that goes through, then it sets us up to make next year easier and the year after easier as well. So may not get done exactly by May 15th, as in the agreement, but it'll get, ecology knows about it. They're going to process it as quick as they can. And, you know, the irrigators are okay if it's a little bit after that. It's based on ecology authorization. So that's all moving forward. So yeah, that's where we're at right now. Wheels are in motion. You'll see it again on the 9th, and we should have a lot of all the groundwork done by the 9th to be able to approve the interlocal and have it approved by the consortium before that too. So we should just be doing the final approval before moving forward.
Yeah, thank you to you and Bill and everyone who worked on that too. Mark, thank you guys.
Been a lot of coordination. I spoke to Jenna this afternoon, and yeah, everybody's on the same page. We're moving forward. We know what to expect. So there shouldn't be any surprises at this point, I don't think. You never know. Let's see. So beyond that, we have been doing other things. The governor has not signed the capital budget yet, but as I said last meeting, we're still in there for 300,000 for another water line relocation. So hopefully that stays. I did have a meeting, speaking of Big Lake, I did have a meeting with the Big Lake Fire Chief a couple of days ago, last week, talking about a fire hydrant maintenance agreement. So we're in conversations with him and possibly the other fire districts as well. So more to come on that once we get further into the discussion.
So are we talking all the other fire districts, or is there just a couple that are?
And we're gonna just see. They have a chiefs meeting every month, I think, and so he was gonna bring it up at that and see what the interest is. And because if we have to go through a bunch of processes and jump through hoops for one district, we could do it with multiple at the same time. But yeah, we'll see.
And then any movement with Burlington?
Nothing yet. No, nothing that I've seen. Ball's in their court still. Our projects are continuing. We've got 2 waterline installation projects that are going on, one at the Country Club and one in West Mount Vernon. So those are moving ahead. Mike's going to talk about a couple of things as part of that new business item that we talked about during budgeting season last year. So stay tuned for that. And then just on the hiring front, so we finished interviews for maintenance technicians last week, and we are currently interviewing for the records assistant position. Shannon had some interviews today, more tomorrow. So that's the big thing. There's no department update today. We kind of got out of schedule with the cancellation of the meeting and then people not being here. So we'll get back to that next week. And our next meeting, I think Mark's going to do an engineering update the next meeting. So everybody will look forward to that. And that's all I have, unless there's any questions.
Burlington, any idea? We just talked, I'm just thinking ball fields because it's going to start getting, it'll be summer before we know it. And we also talked about the transfer, for getting them in on the irrigator. If that might not be worth coming to them, not a package deal, but certainly maybe a second more enticing part of a conversation with them to say, hey, none of us like them putting potable water on the ball fields when the river is right there. And so
that is some of the low hanging fruit.
Right.
And one of the customers that we talked about internally is potentially getting into the transfer program. That one will require more work. We don't know if they have a well. They were looking at purchasing a well south of the ball fields. They don't have a surface water diversion. So the surface water diversion makes it the simplest thing to be able to do, which is what Skagit Valley Farms is talking to us about. They don't have that. If they have a well, there's some more hydrogeologic study they need to do. We were just waiting for these simple ones to get out of the way, and then we would go and approach them. So they are our next target, if you will say. But yeah, I don't know if it'll be in time for this season. But yeah, they do use a lot of water through their irrigation meter. It'd be nice to get them off of that.
Yeah, and there may just be leadership change there. Maybe a fresh set of downs to discuss some things. Who knows?
we're approaching the fire hydrant discussion from multiple points and still waiting for it to come back to us. And hasn't happened yet.
No lack of effort on our part, so.
No, actually, yeah.
Right, no,
We doubled the effort, yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, cool, appreciate it,
Yeah.
thanks.
Okay, so it looks like we are up to item 7, resolution 2304-24, canceling 2299-23, declaring an emergency related to the failure of the power transformer at the Skagit River Diversion.
I think this is fairly self-explanatory. We finished all of the work last week. So the last piece that we had to do were some upgrades to protect our transformer from any kind of damage from PSE system. So that work, the materials for that took a little bit longer to get delivered. But over the last couple of weeks, we've been working on it. Kurt's been bird dogging that quite a bit, and it got finished last week. So to have all of our costs, the costs are noted in there is $897,000.
What was the original up to dollar amount? Was it 900,000 or was it?
I think it was $1 million. Yeah. Not that we were trying to spend up to $1 million, but I'm
No,
glad we put that amount in there.
Yeah, no, I just couldn't remember us. Oh, man.
Yeah. There were 5 different purchase orders written to KVA for a variety of things. So one was for supplying the transformer. That was $466,000. There was degassing the one that was there. That was $9,000. Removing and disposing of the old one. That was $31,000. Installing it was $121,000, and then the upgrades were $154,000. So add all that up, and then add on some of our time, and that's how you get to that amount.
Is it a 50? Is it a expected 50 year? Was that the life, even though it's been sitting for so long? Correct.
There's some other things that we're talking about doing with the transformer as well that doesn't need to be part of this project. You know, the emergency can be closed out.
Yeah.
And if we're going to do something else, we'll budget for it, and then we'll talk about that during budgeting. But this just spurred conversations about some other things. And so as far as the emergency, I think it's good to close it out at this point. So that's what this resolution is for. For that.
So I'd be looking for a motion to approve resolution 2304-24.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Get the pen.
And then on to new business, the Gilligan intake valve remote operation. Mike, are you?
Yeah, to go around a little bit what George is saying too, the transformer, the last chunk of work was waiting for the batteries, the Vassar switch, and all the things that will actually energize and disengage us from PSE. Some of those components were late to get here. They were on order. So that's the last bit of work we got put in and finished up finally. So yeah, to circle back on the Gilligan Creek automation conversation we talked about during budgeting a little bit. We are looking to squeeze every last drop we can out of Gilligan and do it the most efficient way we can and maximize how much water we get out of there. We talked about it during the budget session, but didn't have really any numbers or any idea at that point what it was going to take. So it's taken a few months to get those things kind of put together. And I think we're in a pretty good place now to move forward. And the reason why we want to start moving forward now is because one of the components is about a 16-week lead time. So to get that, we'd like to get it going, to get it in, so maybe we can utilize it next fall. Instead of waiting until this summer or next fall, then we're going to miss a whole nother season of getting water potentially. So currently the crew drives clear to the intake to turn the valve on and off when we want to regulate taking Gilligan water into the impound. And there is just a gate valve here. They go turn on and off. And if they need to throttle it because the creek is a little closer to the threshold and way above, then they're throttling the valve by hand, and multiple trips driving back and forth from the plant to the actual, to the intake daily, sometimes a couple times a day. We have the meter is currently here at where Old Day Creek Road meets our access road. There's a valve there we found on the map, and we thought about automating that valve
when found it, dug it up, it's broken open in place and the valve cover was buried. So I think it was stuck in place and they just left it that way and have continued to use the intake up here, which has always been the case. They never followed it from here from what I can remember, but our hope was to utilize the valve that was already in place. So the upper gate right there off of Old Day Creek Road is where this valve is. It's right behind the gate up here. There's an air vac right there. We need to do some work to also, but the buried valve was right here. We're hoping to do the work right there. But right behind the gate, we have the existing infrastructure here. There's a tap on the valve. We have electricity right here already, which will help for the automation. We already have the power service there. And the meter is already there. But there's no valve at that location. It's out here out front where the broken part was. So our intent is to, there's a vault structure in here now and the main is tapped. The main is right about in the wheel track right here. There's a tap right here that feeds the meter that gives us the information on the flow and also a sample tap so we can sample the water for quality, turbidity, and so forth. So we're hoping to enhance all of that stuff right here at this location, which is 2 miles closer than the intake. So what it would be, not to this size, but it's basically going to be this sort of a contraption right now. We'll put the valve in the vault and it'll have a what's called an ALMA actuator on there, since I have the power service there. And our intent is to operate the valve there. So just a couple of weeks ago, we have staff on board on Saturdays, but it's only a single person there on Sundays. And if there's somebody out on a Saturday, sometimes Saturdays and Sundays both are a single operator, which can't leave the plant. We don't have to leave the plant. So that Saturday and Sunday in particular, just a couple of weeks ago, we didn't have any extra people to plant. So we missed out on 2 days of water, which basically equates to $5,400 of electrical cost to pump the same amount of water. So that's basically just unrealized water that we could have taken had we had some way to collect it, not having people there. So that's our intent. We're hoping it works the way we intend. So what it'll be comprised of is right now there's a cellular site at the stream intake now that supplies the internet, goes up to the internet, has all the stream gauge readings, threshed all the, well, in the back, all this information, the stream level, the bottom threshold of where it has to be before we can take water. All that information gets sent to the internet through this site via cellular. We'll add a control panel here in cellular, basically take that up to the internet. And if we get it automated to the extent that we hope, simple control would just be able to turn it on and off remotely from the treatment plant through SCADA. That's the basic intent. My hope is that we can run it like Marble Mount, where Marble Mount, the SCADA talks to the internet basically and has real-time stream gauge reading from the river gauges, and it knows when the streams or rivers are below certain thresholds and turns the augmentation valve on and off at Rockport when the river's below a threshold. So right there, the river threshold is 10,000 feet. We have an actual reading of 13,000 feet, so the augmentation valve's not on. If that drops below 10,000 feet, that valve would come on and augment our flow to the river. So our intent is the same thing with that valve. If we can see the stream gauge, know what the level is, that valve will be able to modulate itself and take the most amount of water we can based on the stream gauge and the flow we're flowing. That's the grand scheme of things. We hope it turns out the way our intent. So basic costs, we have a valve that was already, a vault that we've had since 2014, ordered for another project we've had sitting here in the yard for 10 years. I propose using that vault we already have, repurpose it. We have a valve in stock. We have basically all the parts and pieces in stock except for the actuator and the telemetry and integration from QCC, which a grand total so far is just under $58,000. But there's some miscellaneous electrical. We're going to have some plumbing, some wiring, some things like that. So I think in the memo I put 70 on there. That's just a little bit of fluff money, just not knowing what the particular parts of the piece are going to be without going through every little line diagram and putting every nipple and valve and bulb stuff on there, but that should be a pretty good estimation. But with talking to Rob Sager yesterday, he estimated that we miss anywhere from 20 to 30 days a year typically. So 20 days at a couple $1,000 don't take long to pay that back if we can make this work. So with your blessing, our intent is to give this a go, put these parts and pieces in and get the actuator coming so we can get it in by this fall, hopefully, and be able to use it this winter.
And that would just fall under the current operations budget from that pre-approved from this. Okay.
Yeah, it's just gonna come, I mean, Brian can speak on that, where the money comes from, but yeah, just basic, the big checkbook, I call it.
And then the QCC work, that 32,000, are they proposing, or their quote, is that to do full PLC integration and do the control, the feedback for,
That'll be the panel in the HMI.
okay.
It's
And,
pretty basic. It's just add one little screen to the treatment plant's HMI.
and the programming though for the valve actuating
Mhm.
for, based on stream flow?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
What we've seen in the last, especially just the last 4 years, is that the amount of water that we're taking from Gilligan has been decreasing every year. And the amount of water getting from the SRD has been increasing every year. The mural up at the treatment plant, I think, shows 40% of our water back then was coming from the river. And now it's over 60%, I think, was last year. So as much water as we can get from the streams is going to really help our efficiency and our electrical cost for pumping.
Well,
Yeah, just and save wear and tear on pumping and all those extended costs besides, yeah.
Didn't you say when we turn on the SRD, we are committed power usage wise though for a full month, really? So once you turn them on, you leave them on.
Yep.
So if you're looking at 30 days of missed opportunity, you potentially have 1 month of energy savings, whatever that equates to from PSC for the SRD.
Yeah, 25 grand, 30 grand, that's one pump.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if this works the way we intend, it wouldn't take very many years, even if it took 5 or 6 or 7 years. I mean, if it works the way we intend, it's money well spent to try and squeeze as much out of Gilligan as we can. And the weather plays a big part too. I mean, we don't know there's not much water is going to be coming down Gilligan, but how long it's going to be above the threshold. Those are things that are out of our control, but instead of having it full open only when the creek is X amount higher than the threshold, we can run that a little bit closer and take water more and run it closer to the finer line instead of either wide open or not, you know.
And with future technologies too, having power at that location will open up maybe an inline turbidity meter, or whatever else you may see down the road needing
Sure.
that can help.
Yeah, exactly. That's our intent. We're hoping.
We didn't put a line item in this year's budget because last year, like Mike said, it was just a discussion. We didn't have any numbers on it. So we just talked about it. But we wrote this up as requesting a motion from the board to move forward with the expenses because we don't have a line item in the budget.
Yes.
But with this expense, it's not expected that we're going to need to do a budget amendment. It will be able to fit within our current budget.
Because a lot of the parts are in inventory already.
Yeah.
Our staff will do some work.
The largest of the expense is going to be the QCC work.
Yeah, we'll do the work. We'll install the actuator. We'll get all the stuff in there. It's just going to be the integrator come put the PLC cabinet in and.
Do the programming and call it a day.
Pardon?
Do the programming and call it a day.
Yeah.
The long-term investment.
Yeah.
So are we looking for a motion then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So everyone.
Well, I motion to approve the Gilligan intake valve remote operation budget.
Second.
Second.
All right, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we'll move forward.
Thank you.
With one more late breaking slide as of this afternoon.
Another item we talked about during budgeting that we didn't know about.
Yeah, the dump truck, a dump truck.
Oh.
Literally got word today from Don Danielson and Motor Trucks that they'll have 2 trucks available. City of Mount Vernon wants one. If we want the other, those bills will become available to give them a purchase order in the next couple of weeks. We got to be able to make a motion on it to commit to one if we want one or not.
Well, City of Mount Vernon wants one. We want two.
So what the discussion has been over the winter is they have been waiting to find out whether they were gonna get an allotment of trucks, number one. And number two, there was discussion on whether they had to sell X amount of electric trucks or how many diesel trucks they were gonna get. They were uncertain what they were gonna get. They literally just found out, okay, we're gonna get a few trucks. We have a couple available. If you want one, and Mount Vernon wants one, it's gonna be a 2025 build. So we wouldn't have to pay for it at least until 2025. And if it's anything like the service truck, maybe not 2028.
Yeah.
So,
So it'll be a part of next year's budget. We have to commit to it now.
they would want a purchase order the next couple of weeks if we want them to build us a truck.
Do we have to put anything down on that?
I don't think so. I think it's just a purchase order committing because we have that purchase order hanging out for the service truck for the last 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just to reserve a place in line.
Do we need
Yeah.
to make a motion right now?
I think that would be good,
No
yeah.
moves. When we can get them, we should, and they're not getting any cheaper. So
Do we have, before I second that, do we have a dollar amount on the, oh, thank you.
The
Oh, God.
oldest one in our fleet is a 1993. We paid 85 for it. The next oldest is a 94. We paid 85 for it. 2002, 104. 2018, 186. 5 years later, they're $260,000. So far, that's today.
that's why they're not getting, and everyone, they're not getting cheaper.
And that's the last quote I got in October. I mean, I haven't
Will
gotten,
they honor that quote from October? Or no?
he's gonna give me a final quote in the next couple of days, which I have not gotten yet. I just got word today that if we want one, we need to put a PO in to even get one. So I'm guessing it's probably gonna be a little more than 260. But like Andrew says, I think it's either you gotta commit to buy one or you won't get one. So, but we didn't put it as a line item in this year's budget either because
It's gonna be next
we
year.
didn't know if they were gonna be able to get them. And I literally just found out today. So,
We will plan accordingly for 2025 to meet whatever that number ends up being.
right.
So I second.
Motion and a second, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
I,
Opposed? All right, we'll move forward with that. Thank you.
I like how you threw that, right in there.
Literally put that slide in afternoon. Cause I did get that it's like 11 o'clock.
not to be too late, so well done.
It's true.
Yeah,
That is
right.
true. City of Burlington could
$25,000
take
more.
it.
But yeah, and that's the thing, that's what some George and I talked about as well. Even if we ordered it and committed to it and we bought it or got close to buying it, we couldn't afford it. I'm pretty sure motor trucks will be able to sell it.
Yeah.
It wouldn't
We
be,
could back
it wouldn't be a lost deal. And I asked them where our service truck was, that they said we were gonna get it built in August, and it got kicked to February, then February was April, and then today he said, yeah, June 1st.
Are we worried that
We have a VIN number attached to our truck, so theoretically, we are gonna get the truck one of these days that we ordered 3 years ago. So that 2025 dump truck, that's what I'm saying. Part of that condition was, he said Allison is already behind 40% on orders. I'm guessing that 2025 bill, we give a purchase order for, I'd be lucky to see it in 26.
but they're still honoring whatever dollar amount that you committed to when you signed, right?
They already hit us with a price increase about 6 months ago because material prices have gone up. We had to pay them another $10,000 or $15,000 to keep our service truck coming.
And is this across the board? Is this the only person or group that has the ability to deliver on said vehicles?
I would say yes and no. I would say that if you don't have a relationship built with other dealers already that you've been buying from, that going in cold. We've done work with International over the last several years, and a lot of our fleet is through them, so they've been keeping us apprised of availability. But to just go on the market and go try and find a dump truck right now, brand new on the lot, you're not going to find. They're just not out there.
Yeah.
And with the new diesel emissions laws coming up, that California has to meet in 25, and I think we have to meet in 27. A lot of the manufacturers aren't even sending diesel trucks to the West Coast or even the Northwest area because they're not able to meet proposed future emission laws. Talking to the people in Mount Vernon, the guy that orders the fleet there was saying that there isn't an engine manufacturer in the United States right now that will meet the 2027 emission laws. So right between the whole electric and diesel tug of war and fight. So I'm with Andrew. If you think you can get something, you better get it. At least get your name in the hat.
Packard, yeah.
Yeah.
Come on.
Thanks.
Any more good news?
Yeah, sorry. I went through this.
It's good news.
I mean, it's good news. It's just,
It's unfortunate the way that the conditions are out there, but it is what it is at this point, yeah.
no, I'm really excited. I mean, back to the first item, I'm very excited about the diversion. I think that's in the long term, I think, especially with the way climate is and the way storms are moving through and how
Yeah.
you can see a peak out of nowhere.
Yeah, it's like
In the-
that, like that slide that weekend, the water was up in a couple of days and Monday, Tuesday it was gone again.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
have to take every opportunity that you can.
Yeah.
move forward.
I do have good news. Our 2 tractors showed up last week.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
right,
thank you.
Well, it did arrive.
Yeah.
So we're good there.
All right.
Question?
Thank you
Thanks,
so
Mike.
much, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
So at this time, there's a news article in there. The Judy Reservoir data reports, commissioner comments. So I mentioned I was gonna bring this up. I think George and I've had some discussion on this. But the bulk water fill station, adding another one at Big Lake. Just hearing from Dave about, other people out in that area. He even sent me a picture of a good spot for it there at the fire station.
Yeah, right in
too.
front of the fire station. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a big turnaround right there. You can come in any direction and pull in to fill up water. Yeah, it's perfect.
You want to give us a little bit of the history on the bulk water fill station? Sure.
So, gosh, I don't even know, I don't remember the exact year it started, but it was a drought year. And we were able to secure 50% financing or 50% grant for through the drought grant for the first fill station. And we put in, so right now we have the first 2 that we put in were both basically at the north and south end of our service areas, one off of Bull Hill Road in 99, and then one down in Conway. And the reason we put those in was to assist mostly with irrigation and people who needed seasonal water to help out with their wells as well. We had other kind of, I guess, less protective devices, just some standpipes that the co-op managed, and farmers could come and get their water from those. We were concerned with, backflow on those and just being able to track the water better and then make it available to many more people who can just come and get a card and get as much water as they want. And so we're trying to make it convenient and easy so that it's more secure for our system and less tempting to steal water through a fire hydrant or something like that. So we put those out at the north and south. Then we looked to the east and we put another fill station off of Minkler Road in Cedar Woolley. And so now we've got the north, south, and east covered pretty well. I didn't have time to look at like the number of customers that are going to these. I don't think they're overrun right now with, people coming out. I don't think there's a backup on Saturday morning to get into any of the fill stations, but I think they have been successful and convenient for, the people who have used them. Cost wise, I think, Mike's dump truck just bought us 2 fill stations. So they're about $130,000 a piece for a fill station. And then one of we're relying on the old payment system that came with the first unit so that they can continue to talk to one another. If it really is unsupported at this time, it's kind of cumbersome and there's better technology. If we do put in an additional fill station, our request would also be to upgrade that purchasing software, the software that allows customers to access the water.
Are there any current grant opportunities that this would fall under due to?
Probably the same drought
Okay.
grant program, right? The 50% forgiveness is how we did it. I think it's still open.
Yeah, it is still open. I think when we talked to Casey, she said there was funding that we're looking for our meters, but they were not. We can't fund those, but perhaps we could fund another, we can
Well,
look.
I would suggest maybe county point on economic development funds for public infrastructure.
Yeah.
Because that's discretionary at the commissioner level. Maybe, I don't know that we've ever had reports or gaga for that.
I don't think we've ever put in for any.
I would love for us to try to figure out, because I think it is anything East County, and it is infrastructure, it is economic development. It's
What's a cycle on those? Do you know when they?
April, yeah,
Is it-
third or fourth week in April is when the grants are, or the requests are due, so we're up against the timing. Where the conversation is.
Yeah, so then, as far as timing goes, they don't go in overnight. They require a little permitting. Most of our challenge is really with siting, finding a site, getting the necessary infrastructure in there for vehicles to come in, turn around, get approvals. There's access and control things that we need to worry about.
Is there stipulation on that grant for when the completion of the project has to be done? No?
No, they have, I mean, like the DDocs and Portland and Gordas, they use, I mean, they're like, I think it's a $500,000 limit or something.
Wow.
So it depends on, the program is based on a sales tax that gets returned to the county commissioners. To be able to, so how much is available is how much they work. But there has been times where they've gotten creative just to spend it all. And this is something that, especially based on the location, I'm sure that we could create enough support for something along these lines where it just turns into theirs. Yeah, I would encourage this at least to look. Yes. Yeah. So you can say no. Or here's how it could work. Especially because somebody just gets out, well, you can't do it here if it's in partnership with fire district and beauty and the conservation district, whoever's out there.
Yeah.
And it may require some. The good news is it's commission, right? We doesn't have to go to Olympia. The other news is that money generally comes with some paperwork, but
Yeah, there's multiple.
we know how to do that.
We know how to do it. Yeah.
It just hasn't been done before.
The time to.
But
do
yeah,
it.
no, that's exactly.
No,
well,
we're good. That's our job. We can work on that. I guess what I'm just trying to think of like a reasonable timeline here. If we put in this application, if we can do preliminary engineering without, we can expense that for now. And then as we get into the capital side, we wouldn't move forward with that until we had a grant or some sort of funding. So maybe this is a item that we would do the preliminary engineering, start applying for the grants, budget for 2025, and do construction maybe spring of 2025 at best with permitting.
And along with that, like you mentioned, it's that software. The software is an issue. Alistair and Brian both know about it. It was a payment card system that they used for car washes. That was the original. They work. Everybody goes to a car wash. You can pay your thing. It has glitches. It needs unsupported, like Mark said. We would like to improve on that because now we've kind of gone away from the card system and given people codes. So there's probably a better way to do it. So that's something we should also do at the same time, upgrade the other software programs.
Well, and again, go after that 0.09 for that as well. I think that's the reason that exists, because a lot of projects don't pencil, big report or otherwise. And so as a rural, I think if we're rural and historically economically disadvantaged or whatever the requirement that rolls into that. So that, again, we would look at that and say, yeah, this will pay for itself in 28 years. It's like, well, the good news is you start deriving benefit in a couple.
Yeah.
But to ask the ratepayers to pay for it, it's a little bit more of a,
The fact that we haven't applied for 0.09 money in the past.
Yeah.
I think would.
Concrete put in a spray park with this money. So there's some creative attraction.
We can put a sprinkler outside of this, okay?
Now everybody's minds are turned.
So now there's a spray park in the big lake parking lot where we can use irrigators.
Phil,
Yeah.
no, I think it's worth not only asking, but advocating for.
Yeah.
Okay, well, like Mark said, we could start investigating.
That would be great.
Looking at it. Okay. Is there anything, Brian, that you wanted to add as part of the conversation?
Just, you mentioned the software is more of an issue. It's not reliable, it's operations. It's all
For two separate projects. I mean, that's the thing. The fill station it is economic development. It is an opportunity for the county again to use available funds to
Especially when you
support
have
farmers.
so many properties that don't have water. I mean, it doesn't solve the issue of getting a building permit, but there's people that might recreate on their property and, need some water.
Well, and agriculture is economic development.
Yeah.
Right, we've got multiple clients that use it, right? There's people whose wells go dry, irrigators, farmers, we've got contractors that use it. We've got other public agencies that use it, to fill up your sweepers and do things. So we've got, it's not like Mark said, it's not like everybody's rushing to it, but we've got a lot of different kinds of people that use it all over the county.
Right. Yeah. Maybe it's two separate.
Look at that.
Where one's a
The
short
big
term
water
loss.
guys who fill up, when I'm down Conway and they haul 3,500 gallons, they charge $300 to deliver it to your place. And so if you get behind those guys, you're waiting there for 45 minutes. And especially the Woolly station only runs half as fast as a Conway station. And I'm there every day. I mean, all summer long. Normally I would haul in late June, early July years ago, but these last 4 or 5 years, I'm starting in May and I'm not finishing. I hauled yesterday out of Conway. So even these brief, heavy rainfalls, they just dump the water and then they're gone. It's not week after week after week of steady rain in January, February, March, snowpack. Just not getting it anymore. And all the wells up there in our area on that hilltop, I got a 90-year-old neighbor that has never run out of water. And last summer, his well ran out of water. And he's been there since 1950. So it's not just us. It's a lot of people in these hilltops that aren't down where the water table is. No.
Well, you call Peter Browning and I'll call Peter Browning and we'll get the commissioners to come in on their side. So
Did you say this you do only one day?
yeah, all of you guys.
And the water cards, I can testify that when we come to put money on our water card, the people in the office look at us and say that that's not your card.
It still says a car wash card.
That says
I
card.
got the original when they first started.
Yeah, that's awesome.
The money eventually gets
Yeah.
onto the card and we're able to use it, but they look at us like we're crazy.
Okay,
All right, all kinds of solutions.
any other commissioner comments?
I definitely want to circle back to the leak adjustment, just conversation in general, especially for the low income, especially, and some of these much larger $4,000, $5,000 situations where it really does, could completely ruin someone's ability to pay for food or life in general. I just think that maybe we should start a conversation of what maybe a low income adjustment or I don't know, a leak rate or something could be to try to provide some sort of relief for those situations. I mean, I know we want to ensure that we're protecting the PUD's liability from, malmaintenance of someone else's system. But I think there are more and more, we're seeing these situations really cripple people and their ability to take care of their lives. So if there's some options that we can look at that other PUDs do for low income adjustments or even leak rates or something that we can look at and discuss in the next so many months, I think that would be a good thing to talk about.
Yep. Brian likes talking about that stuff. Yeah.
Sorry, Brian.
Sure, we'll get to an upcoming meeting.
Well, there is language you could add, knew or should have known type of language, so that it would allow for someone like this who literally couldn't hear, had no awareness that it was leaking.
To be an exemption
Right, to
of,
be an exemption to the ordinary policy.
Got it.
that you can craft. Protect yourself.
Yeah, and maybe it's our legal word craftsmanship guru over here that can, or maybe it's a hybrid of a few options, but I definitely think that I've only been a commissioner for a year and some change, but I've had some people with some doozies of leaks come in. Again, they just need relief to some extent.
All right, anything else?
Someone else.
All right, we'll adjourn at 5:20.